Okay, we are now broadcasting.
Yay.
Hi, Marta. And let me post this on Facebook. Okay, I think we're just starting up here. Okay, we've got a couple people. Got 5. Sophia, Marta, Liz, Kim, Joan. Hello. And as soon as I get this part going. Just give us waiting a few seconds to get everybody else in too. Why is this not working like I thought it should? Let me stop it. This looks a little more promising. Okay. Come on, Facebook. It is preparing. Well, I feel like we need to do something here, but I need to get this working. So, Kathy, why don't you first off tell everybody who you are,
All right.
and I will keep messing with this Facebook thing.
Okay, cool. So, hi everybody. My name is Kathy Vergara. I'm a face painter and body painter and makeup artist. And I've been face painting and body painting for about maybe like 8 years now. And I've been working with a company called Blue Balloon Training, their entertainment, to do face painting at the children's events. So over the years, I've trained maybe, wow, I don't know, definitely at least 150 girls over the many years I've been working with that company. And I do mostly training for like the basic face painting, like just enough to get them comfortable with face painting and to really like get them out there so they can start developing their own style once they use what I taught them at the parties. So that's what we're gonna do here. I'm just gonna show you the basics kind of designs, and you can use what I'm showing you and twist it and tweak it and make it your own. And a lot of the designs that I do are based on what you can do the fastest and like what can get you through a line of a lot of kids quickly, but still look professional and have people be excited about what you painted on them. So here we're gonna do sea creatures. And I have a little seahorse here that I was doodling before we started. So we're gonna start with that one probably in a couple minutes once Facebook gets online.
Yeah, it's my third try. I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
What's
Matter of fact, it's just giving me the spinning wheel of death.
Oh, of course. Darn.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I can show you guys the paints I'm going to be using today. Go to CC Rolls, please. Thank you.
Here, down there.
All right, so all the paints I'm going to be using today are from the KrazeFX kit. And this is the Rainbow Cake palette, or the Split Cake palette. And here is the single color palette. Oh. That's what the cover looks like. Matt, can you give him your phone and bring him in the room, please?
They charge your phone to give it to me.
Okay. And I'll show you guys the brushes that I'm going to use as I use them. Most of them today are going to be from the Paint Pal line by Silly Farm. Okay.
Come, we will watch videos. Come. No? You got me. You got me.
Okay, come, let's change.
Is it still giving you the loading wheel?
Sadly, yes. I'd say just forge ahead, and we'll try to catch up.
Okay. So let's try to get started. Hopefully Facebook will catch us up soon. So I'm going to get rid of this guy so we can do it again. And for this one, I'm going to use the Romantic Rose brush. That's kind of blurry, isn't it? And this is just like it's about like a 1/2 inch angle brush. Adrienne. Sorry, I have my twin 3-year-olds here, so you guys know that they are not.
So Joan said having a harbor festival coming up, so maybe I can get some ideas.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 6 or 7 designs. I'm gonna try to get through all of them. So I'm gonna load this one with green. We're gonna do the seahorse in green. And so here, okay. So the first thing you're gonna do, oh, is it working? It doesn't say preparing anymore on my phone.
It doesn't say preparing, but of course it's not doing anything. I'm trying to log out and log back in.
False alarm, okay. So here, we're gonna start with the head. And it's gonna be kind of like a little peak like that. Make another one down from there, right here. Kind of like two, almost like 2 little horns or ears. I'm not sure if seahorses have. Yeah. And then you're just gonna drag the brush down and do a long stroke over here for the nose. And you're gonna cover it and meet it on the other side. with this round shape right here. If you have any little space in the middle, you can just fill it in like that with the light colored side of your brush. So now we're gonna start. Yeah, I like to do the belly a little bit lighter than the back part. So I'm gonna flip my brush around, and this will be easier if you were using a brush that was straight across, like this one. For mine, the one I picked up was an angle, so we're gonna go with it. And I'm going to go down and make these little shapes like this, so kind of like petals. And I'm gonna keep bringing them down, overlapping a little bit, just to bring some texture to the belly of the starfish. I mean, the seahorse. So I'm gonna go down and around, and then come up to curve the tail like this. So there you have the head and the body. I'm going to add in the little fin that he has in the back of his head right here. Oh, hold on one second.
That sounds bad. She has 2 3-year-olds, in case you're wondering.
Yeah.
This is
2 3-year-olds. Okay, so
God, why is this not working?
so here we're doing the neck, and then I'm gonna flip the brush over to the back and make like a petal for the little fin that goes out in his back over here. So that's basically all you really need for the seahorse. I'm gonna go in with a tiny round brush with some white. And this is just the brush that came with the KrazeFX kit. You get a tiny, where's the other one? Oh, here we go. You get a small chisel brush, and then you get a small round brush. These are good for doing outlines and tiny details, you know, highlights, things like that. So I'm gonna do a little bit of white right here for his eye. And I do that first because I want it to dry before I continue. And now I'm going to get a swirl number 1 from PaintPal. And I'm just going to outline him. A little bit heavier on the outsides. Here's his nose. And now when I come down the belly, I'm gonna trace right under those petals I made. And kind of give him some lines down there. There we go. And come back around the bottom. Back. And outline his little fin here. Now hopefully, let me see if that's, the eye is pretty dry, it's mostly dry. So I'm just gonna go in with the black and add a little pupil right there. Come back with the white and do some tiny highlights. And now this stuff can certainly be skipped if you feel like you don't have enough time. Usually the highlight part of, you know, all the designs I do are optional. You just want to make sure your highlights are very thin and not too heavy, because you don't want the white to overpower the design. So now that you have the seahorse down, I like to add a little bit of background. And this is going to be super easy, like water design. This is the Arty Angle brush, and it's about a 1-inch chisel. And I'm going to use this really nice blue gradient split cake. And I'm going to go in right over here. Let's start down here. And we'll make some waves down there. And we'll put some here, here, and let's see, maybe a couple here. And there's not an exact shape that you're gonna do. You're just kind of filling in the space with some organic, like swirl kind of with the split cake. And now I'm gonna take a thicker swirl. This is number 4 with white, and just finish it off with a couple of teardrops. So you're gonna go in the same direction that your shapes were going with the blue split cake. So for this one, I'm gonna come down here, make a nice swirl. And you wanna just keep your focal points in mind. So for this one, the focal point is gonna be here, which is the same focal point here, the back of this little fin. For this one down here, it's going to be here, like that. And up top, we're just gonna make it right here in that space behind these points and the fin up here. And to finish it off, last but not least, we're gonna throw some fun dots here. And these are good for your sea creature designs because they also kind of look like bubbles. So there we go. And this one is probably a better size for an arm painting, but you can use a smaller brush and do it as a side eye design also. So here's the little seahorse. I hope you guys can see that pretty well. Did we get Facebook running?
Yeah, I'm just about to launch it. I had to call customer support. I had to clear my cache and everything.
Okay.
Kathy is doing...
Should I keep this on before, just so they can see it as soon as you turn Facebook on?
Don't worry about it. Just keep going.
All right, so here's the seahorse. We're gonna move on to the next one. Oh, looks awesome. Thank you, Gilbert. Appreciate it. Okay.
Hey, Gilbert.
Okay, so the seahorse. Now let's do some other really fast ones, which is the shark. And the shark is one of my favorites because I can get this one done in 30 seconds, probably. So I'm gonna take the same brush that I just used for the water, the Arty Angle brush, but I'm gonna reload it so that the dark blue is now at the higher point of the chisel. Before I had the white on that side. And I'm doing it this way now so that the dark blue is on the outside of my shark, which, if done correctly, means that you don't have to outline your shark, which saves a lot of time.
Okay, we are now finally on Facebook Live.
Awesome. Hi, Facebook.
Have to remind myself of the focal point thing, said Joan.
Yes, focal points are very important because I see a lot of the girls that I train, if they're doing, let's say they're doing teardrops, they'll have a bunch of teardrops and they're just kind of like next to each other instead of going towards one point. So you can see how these look much more cohesive.
So while we're starting, let me just jump in and say to anybody that's just joining us on Facebook, apologize that we got in late. We had some technical difficulties. Anyway, and so Kathy's going to be doing a shark. Sadly, you missed a seahorse, but for those that were here, I'm sure they enjoyed it. And okay, and I'm Blake Cabot. I'm the owner of FacePaintcom and newly minted Kraze face paint, KrazeFX face paint. And so I give it to you, Kathy.
Okay, awesome. Thank you guys for joining us on Facebook. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but we're going to jump into the shark right now. So like I was saying before, this is an arty angle brush. It's about a 1-inch chisel brush. You can use any regular 1-inch flat. It doesn't have to be an angle like this. And you're going to start right by the top lip. So right where the line of that top lip is, that's where you're going to lay your first line. And you're going to press down and come around and kind of twist the brush so that it's going outwards. And then you're going to make your second line going right under the mouth. And you're going to come up right under it like this. So this is your shark's body down here. Like that. And for the tail, you're just going to kind of press down and lift up. And press down and lift up again. So there you have the two fins. Here is the dorsal fin, which comes on the top. So you're just kind of making a motion like this. You're not really rotating the brush. You're just bringing it forward and laying it down. And I usually just go over the top part of the body one more time after I do the dorsal fins, just so that it lays behind my top half of the body. And then I'll put like 2 small fins in the bottom. Okay, so that's the body of the shark. I'm going to use that same small white paint with the brush that came with the KrazeFX kit. And we're just going to do a little eye. And then I'm going to use the black swirl 1 to do some line work here. So now if you're in a rush and you want to get through this design really quickly, there's no real need to outline this design in particular. Though you could if you felt you had to. Like if you felt you wanted the look of the outline design. So I'm going to add a little pupil here. And sharks are usually angry, so I usually add a little angled eyebrow. An angry angled eyebrow. And I'm going to go back with the white. And just lightly flick downward to create the teeth. There we go. And then load up my brush so that it's, good and wet. And put some little highlights in the eyes. So you can leave your shark just like this and go about your party and move on to the next kid. You can also make it a little bit fancier with some water. So if you had like another different type of blue split cake or blue and green split cake, you can totally just add some water, just like we did with the seahorse. I'm just gonna use the same one, though I wouldn't do this in a party because it's very similar and you might lose the shark. But you can do this. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. And then do a few right here. Let's put some dots. Like this. And this is kind of mimicking like the water spray when a wave crashes. Here, this, and a couple right here. So after you have the dots, just make a few really, really light lines like this. And this is like a super fast way to get the look of water or like a wave kind of design for your sea creatures. So there's a shark, a super simple shark. And what I really love about this shark is that when the child opens their mouth, so does the shark. So they really love to just sit in the mirror and look and interact with it. And, you know, anytime a face paint is more than just a regular face paint, the kids get a big kick out of it, and even the parents. I did a baby shark party one time where every single person got a shark painted on them, even the adults. And I had to come up with a whole bunch of different versions of the shark, so I wasn't left painting the same thing over and over again. And that got a little bit challenging.
Why did everybody want a shark?
It was a shark party. The first few kids got a shark, and then everybody was like, you know what? It's a shark party. I'm going to get a shark too. So every single person was like, give me a shark, but I want a different kind of shark. I was like, wow, okay. So I had to figure out like a few different designs of how to make a shark. And it was challenging, but that's why I like face painting. It lets me, you know, have to think on the spot sometimes.
Exactly. Gilbert says the waves are so cool. Never seen that before.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gilbert.
Let's do the fish. Okay.
Okay, you want to do a fish? Okay.
I'm going to take this brush, Royal and Langnickel. This is a 1/2 inch flat brush. And for the sharks, for the fish, I usually use something in this color family, like an orange.
Is that one of the Kraze split cakes, or?
Yes, everything I'm using today is Kraze.
Oh my God.
Everything. So this is, it doesn't have a name on it, so I can't really tell you, but it's a yellow to orange to red to black, I think. Either it's a super dark, like burgundy, but it's a really nice one, especially for things like fire.
So Lockie asked, I would like to practice face painting. What is the name of the face you're painting? I think she means the board.
Oh.
And what material to use.
Yeah, so this is, you can get this on FacePaintcom. It's Design It board. I think you can just look up practice board on FacePaintcom.
Yeah, I'll put the link in for you.
Yeah, and it'll come up. They have a few different ones. I like this one because it gives you the face, and then you also have this grid section to practice things that you would normally do on like an arm or another part of the body. So here, I'm going to use a smaller brush than I would usually use on a face because this face is a little smaller than the actual face, and I just want it to fit so you guys can get a good understanding of where it goes. So here, we're going to start same place. We're going to start with the lips. We're going to make like a little petal, and you're going to flip the brush over and make another little petal. So anytime you do a design where it goes on the side of the mouth like this, it's gonna have the same effect as the shark. When you open your mouth, the fish or the shark is gonna open its mouth, and everybody thinks that's super cool. So we're gonna start right here and come up this way. Turn the brush as you get toward the corner of the eye so it ends in a point. Flip it over and do the same thing. Put some pressure down, come around, and meet it up right over there. There we go. And now I'm going to turn it again. And I'm going to, I need to reload my brush.
Ah, great, Sophia. So you're getting the palette. Yeah, right? Or are you in the group, Sophia?
Like that. Right here on the bottom. So the fish tail is kind of like a petal. So you're just making the petal one side, and then you're gonna come down the other. You're gonna do the same thing here, and down the other side. So just like a flower, except it's a little pointier. And I'm using the black part of this split cake to make it easier for me, so that that doesn't have to be outlined when I'm finishing my design. So I'm going to come here, and very similar to the shark, 2 fins on the bottom and one a little bit bigger on the top. I'm just gonna go over that so that it hides that edge. There we go.
So, Sophia, it's the KrazeFX artist community where I sort of post stuff, ask questions about different ideas about designing this face paint, and I know Gilbert's an active member, and so here you go.
Okay.
That's
So
cool.
with white, and here's the same brush from the KrazeFX kit. And ideally you want to make sure that your excuse me, your paint down here is dry. Mine is still a little bit damp, so that's why instead of like a bright white, the eye looks a little pink. But for these purposes, that's okay. So you always want to get the eye down first so that it has time to dry while you lay down all the rest of the details. So now I'm not going to outline this whole entire fish because I don't have to, since the edges are already black. But I am going to put in the details. I'm going to go right here behind the eye and separate it. And then I'm going to add some scale. And I like to do these pretty big because the bigger you do them, the less of them you have to do. And they'll get smaller as you go down towards the edge of the tail. So the bigger you do them, the less you have to do, and the less you have to do, the faster you finish the design. And so make sure you're laying them like a brick formation. So they're gonna go like this, one here, like that. You don't want your scales to look like this. Because that's more of maybe the bottom of a snake and not so much of how fish scales are laid. So I'm just gonna finish outlining here. So there's your fish outline. And here I'm going to go over the eye, which is still, as you can see, not 100% dry. I'll just make do.
It's a little out of focus.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Is
I
that
don't know why.
better?
Yeah.
Okay. It's probably my hand in front of the camera.
I don't know.
Okay, so that's that. And usually I'll just quickly go through with some basic highlights. Just to add a little bit of dimension. There we go. So there's a fish.
Yeah. Sophia thinks that's a cute fish.
Thank you.
She's going to try it tonight.
Awesome. I would love for you to try the fish and tag KrazeFX so I can see.
Absolutely.
Usually for the fish also, what I'll do instead of adding waves, because you could do the same thing with the waves that I did with the shark, but you could also add some bubbles. So I'm going to show you these little sponges. I just picked these up from the craft store, and they're just like circle sponges like this. And all you have to do is lightly dampen them. I just squeezed out all the water. I dipped it a little bit and I squeezed out the water. And I'm going to load it on a split cake like this. And I know for this design, at least on the scale of the space, these bubbles are going to be too big. But on a regular, person, an adult, they would be a lot better. So you're going to lay it down and you're going to slightly spin it. Going to twirl it a little bit, just like that. And that'll give you highlights and shadows and really 3D looking bubbles. And it took me like 5 seconds. So here are, I'm going to just add a couple of dots around here. Actually, I'm going to use a bigger brush. It'll make more sense. There we go. So now you have a fish with some bubbles, some super easy 3D bubbles that takes 5 seconds, but people are going to be like, whoa, super cool. How'd you do that?
Very good.
Thank you. So just put this here a little bit more so you can see the fishy. Now I'm going to get rid of this guy. And let's do a dolphin. Dolphin is also another one that's really easy, as long as you use the right brushes. So I'm going to take a really fat round brush. This is probably like, I don't know, an 8 or a 10. And I'm going to load it up with this blue right here. And this brush is not, I don't have a name brand for it, it's just one I picked up at a craft store. They're good for when you're just, first starting out. And then you can upgrade to the real professional ones after you like really get a hang of it. Because they do make a difference. The craft store brushes. and the face paint brushes, because the craft store brushes are made for working with acrylic paint. And the brushes that you're going to get from like a site like FacePaintcom, they're going to be made specifically for painting on the face. And so your job is going to be a little easier like that. But if you're going to go to the craft store and get brushes, like, you know, you're just starting out face painting, make sure you get a Taklon. I usually get a golden Taklon or like a brown or white Taklon, because those are the firm ones. If you try to get something like natural hair brushes, they're going to be too flimsy and they're not going to let you paint properly. So just remember, not watercolor, acrylic brushes. So we're going to start right here, lay it down, and you're going to make a real big teardrop like that. And add a little bit more white. And then you're going to make another teardrop right on top of it. And then you're going to do another teardrop from that base, and another one on the other side. One more right on top, and another one right down there. Super easy. And I'm going to do another one over here. I'm going to show you the dolphins and kind of like a mask, so you can get a good idea of the kind of designs that you can do with this dolphin. I call this one a teardrop dolphin. So I'm going to do like the opposite here. Coming backwards, one teardrop, another teardrop to the tail, and every so often I'm just going back and getting a little bit more white so that my strokes stand out right there. So here we have two super simple dolphins, and what I'm going to do is add flowers. So I'm going to take a petal brush, pretty petal, load it up with white, load it pretty good, and then I'm going to take this red and just load the very tip, so I'm double loading with petals.
If you guys have any questions, please feel free to put any comments in.
Yeah, bring your questions, your requests. If there's something like you want to see, I'll try to put it into the video.
That's right. The other question I have for the group is, we're obviously doing sea creatures today, but what do you want to see in the next one?
Yep, definitely valid question.
Definitely valid question. We were thinking Halloween, but it's up to you guys.
Yeah, so I'm going to just lay down some petals in this area. I'm trying to do like, I don't know what you call it, like not a mirror, but like opposite and upside down of the other side, so that my design is well balanced. So here we have some going down here.
Linda asked, which white do you prefer?
I usually use, like for flowers and for line work, I use a wax-based white, so you can use Wolf or you can use the KrazeFX white. The one that comes inside the kit, the rainbow kit, the split cake kit, and the single color kit, they're both the same white, and they're very opaque and good for the, like, making bright, you know, highlights or outlines, or whenever you need to use a white to cover another darker color. That's a good one to reach for. If you want to use a white for blending, I'd say go for something more like Paradise, or even Snazaroo is even more cost-effective brand. So it's not my favorite. I prefer Paradise. And that one, that white is not so bright, and it's a lot better to blend with other colors. So,
the technical term, I don't know how to pronounce it, is CHIRAL for sort of what you're doing. I just can't.
The technical term for?
Chiral. Chiral? Chiral, I think, maybe.
Chiral?
Yeah, C-H-I-R-A.
Oh, yes. Okay, thank you. Like a mirror.
Like a mirror.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for that, Kim. So, not exactly
It's a chemistry term. Who knew?
chiral, but, you know, enough so that you have balance in your design. And then we're just going to finish it with some really nice.
Linda, you've been trying to get Wolf White. Wolf has been kind of in and out of stock for a bit, so I'll see if I can find it. I don't know if we have any.
Yeah, Wolf is like very hard to find sometimes.
We've got Wolf White. Here, I'll give you a link. We got 195 of them.
Wow. Look at that. So here's an example of a design that you can use, that you can do with dolphins. You can do one on the arm, you can do one on the cheek, you can do it as like a mask like this. But here's just one example. I usually like to pair my dolphins with flowers because it looks very vacation-y. And it makes people think of, you know, like a tropical island.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go. I'm going to get rid of them. Okay, let's see what else. Okay, I did want to show you guys a shell crown. And I want to do an octopus also. So let's try the shell crown first. This one's pretty simple. I'm going to take the same brush and paint that I used a little while ago. The orange one with the same package. And we're going to do a shell. So we're going to start by making one petal in the middle. You want it to be long, not too fat. And from the sides, you're just going to kind of make half petals going down both sides. Okay, let me try to use my other hand so we can still see. And then two petals going in opposite directions on the bottom, which will be the bottom of the shell. And then I'm going to jump right back with my blue brush I'm using for water. And I'm going to rinse it and reload again the other way because I want my white to be on the outside this time.
Joan points out that she's been using some oil painting brushes and they work okay, but real face painting brushes are better, as you say.
Yeah. I haven't really done any oil painting, so I'm not familiar with the texture of an oil painting brush, but I'd imagine they might be a little softer, like a watercolor brush.
Yeah.
So that would definitely that would make your your life hard trying to face paint with those, because they have no like backbone. They're not firm enough to really do the designs like this properly. So here, I'm just going to add some wave-like designs. Just flip it over. I'm using my right hand on this side, guys, so, oops, hold on. If it looks a little crazy, my right hand, and I'm left-handed. And I'm gonna come down over here, like this. And then just finish the design. Again, you guessed it, with a bunch of teardrops and dots. So let's start here. And for these, the focal point is going to be the center of the seashell.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where you want to aim to have all of your teardrops to be going towards. So the teardrops on the top are aiming at the center of the seashell. The teardrops on the bottom are aiming more towards the middle of this design right here. And just to show that it's okay if your split cake work is not 100% perfect, because you can just go over it with some fancy teardrops. And they look professional and beautiful. So this paint is still wet.
Okay.
So I'm going to add some teardrop, some highlights, sorry, around here. And I'll throw a couple of dots. In this area, just so I feel like nothing is, I don't have any like empty spaces up here. So that's a really good, you know, shell design. Like a really fast one, you know, because there's not a lot of detail involved. So you can do this one really quick, and the girls will be super happy with it. Okay. So I forgot.
What's next?
Another one that I forgot that I didn't have on my list, but I do want to show you guys because I really like it. That I came up with today because I don't know if you guys are anything like me. You're like really terrible at drawing or painting, I should say, people or like cartoons or figures, which I am awful at. So when kids ask me for mermaids, I'm like, ooh, okay. We're gonna have a bad time here. How about a shark or, you know.
So mermaids are no good, huh?
Mermaids are like my kryptonite. But I came up with a design today that's very mermaidy and doesn't involve drawing any faces or people or arms or, you know, body parts, which I think might be helpful for you guys, for those of you who are like me. So I'm going to, let's use this one, because this one's a pretty mermaidy kind of color scheme.
Okay.
Okay, so now I'm gonna try to remember this. This is a lot like the fish, and I just put this together when I was doodling, trying to get ready for this this webinar earlier today. So it's not like 100% perfected, but I'm gonna show you guys so that you can, you know, tweak it to make it work for you. So I'm going to start by doing.
Joan said oil brushes are really stiff.
Oh, they're very stiff. Okay, so you would have the opposite problem then.
Yeah. And Gilbert asked, did Global become Fusion? No, Global still exists, but all the people that, you know, the face painting world is slightly incestuous. So all the Fusion people came from Global. Not the owner, mind you, but other people. So that's where, so Fusion and Global are different brands.
Okay, I'm trying to remember this design from earlier today.
Okay, here we go.
Here we go.
Live.
Okay, there we go. That's much higher. So you're gonna make the two petals for the mermaid tail. And you're going to bring it down the side of the face like this. and then down this way. And it's gonna be very similar to the fish, except that this is where the body would end. So now I'm gonna come with my favorite little water brush. And I'm just gonna wrap around this area right here and just make like a little, kind of like a little wave. So your mermaid is diving into the water, which is why you don't see her face or her arms or the rest of her body. So here we go, some more water. And what will really make this design pop is a little bit of gold or even silver that I'm going to show you guys real quick. So this is going to be like a super fast outline.
Joan asked, did you ever use stencils?
I used to, not that long ago, like maybe a couple of years ago, to do things that I felt took too long to do on their own, mostly for textures, like stars, like a whole bunch of like groups of stars, or like a brick texture or like a splash texture, anything I felt like would be helpful to make my design, you know, better, but still wouldn't take forever. Because stencils by themselves do take a while, because you have to make sure, like you have to be 100% sure that everything you're working on top of is completely dry, or else the whole thing will be ruined and you'll have to figure out how to fix that.
Okay. So you could throw on some red hair to make it Ariel, or no?
Yeah, let's throw a little bit of red hair in there.
Yeah, Kim was thinking red or blonde hair. I watched Little Mermaid one too many times, so I think of red hair.
Just throw some. There you go. A little bit of red hair. She's disappearing under the ocean. And that's why you can't see her face, children. But you give this to a child who wants a mermaid, and they'll be like, yeah, that's totally a mermaid. They're not going to say, oh, hey, you know, I feel gypped because I can't see her face.
No, they probably won't say that.
Yeah. And then to make it super mermaidy, we're going to use one of my favorite products, which you have to be very light-handed with.
What's that, ABA?
Yes, Liquid Bling.
Okay.
American Body Art Liquid Bling. And this one's silver. I only keep gold and silver in my kit because I feel like any design that you do can be enhanced by a gold or a silver. And I like to keep my kit very small. I know a lot of face painters like to use the craft and goes and like have everything but the kitchen sink in their kits. But me personally, I'm not about that life, carrying around so much stuff. So my kit is actually very small. So I keep only what I feel are like absolute essentials. So that's why I only have a silver and a gold. And I only keep one glitter in my kit, which is the white fairy, what is it? White fairy dust. It's just like an iridescent white glitter. I'll sprinkle some on here just so you can see what it looks like. And it matches everything, and it's iridescent, so it's see-through, and it doesn't cover up your design, like your line work. So there we go. then you don't have to see her face. And especially with the glitter, that definitely takes it from, oh, that's just a fish, to this is a mermaid now.
Yeah, you get to avoid the face. Kim loved that part.
Exactly. Avoid the face, avoid the arms, avoid everything that makes mermaids so difficult. Go. Okay, we did the fish, the dolphin, the shark. I want to do the octopus. Do we have time for an octopus?
Yeah, I think we got time for one more.
Okay, cool. Because we started a little late on
Certainly on Facebook Live, for sure.
Facebook, right?
Gilbert, that definition made it pop. Looks great.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, the liquid bling is really like, if you want to make that extra tip or get that extra, you know, wow, this is amazing, definitely invest in some liquid bling. And it's not even expensive. It's like $9 or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's around that.
$5, depending on the type of bling.
See, there you go. Super cheap.
There you go.
Okay, so let's do an octopus. Here we use these colors right here because we haven't used them yet. Okay, so this is what your squid cake looks like when you've used too much water. When it starts to pool on the bottom like that, you know that you're in trouble. Usually I just dab it off with a paper towel to get rid of that extra water down there, and you can keep going. And I think this particular squid cake is my favorite out of all of them in the KrazeFX kit, because it just looks like a sunset. It's really beautiful. Okay, so an octopus, we're going to start with the head. Make a nice round shape right in the middle. And I'm just gonna fill in any, you know, spaces in the middle with this, the yellow side of my brush right here. Just the bottom. I'm only touching it really lightly with the bottom. And so the rest of this is gonna be super easy. You're kind of making shapes like this for tentacles. And depending on how big the person's face you're working on is, you may or may not be able to fit all 8, which is, you know, it's not super unrealistic if you don't fit all 8, because maybe they're behind and you can't see it. So I'd say, like, as long as you have at least 4 good ones, you'll be fine. So we're gonna come down from here. There's one here. Let's come a little bit lower. So I'm gonna overlap right in the front there. And bring this one, oh, that was a little bit thick. You gotta watch the pressure that you put on your brushes. If you put too much, it'll come out too thick. And I don't really do any erasing. Some people I know carry baby wipes in case they make a mistake, but I don't, because people usually just steal them and it's hard to keep track of them at the end of the day. So I don't carry any baby wipes, and if something happens and I don't really like it, usually I'll just cover it with, you know, some design elements like some dots or whatever, and just move on. But whatever you do, don't let whoever you're painting know that you think you made a mistake. That's a big no-no. Because it doesn't matter if your design is like a masterpiece at the end of, you know, when you're finished, they think that you think that there's a mistake in there. So in their mind, it could have been better. So it doesn't matter if it was amazing. If it could have been better, they're not going to be 100% happy. So keep it to yourself, move on, and do your best to you know, cover it up.
Perfect. When in doubt, cover it up.
Yeah, when in doubt, just keep rolling, because like it's like doing art with a pen. There's no eraser here. So whatever you do, incorporate it into your design.
I think even Matisse painted over the water lilies more than once.
Exactly. So you see, I have these two. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think that's okay. And these two little guys right here are pretty close together, which is not, you know, I don't like it that much, but I'm not going to erase it. And I'm just going to show you guys, you know, how we cover it up a little with some design. So I'm going to take a bigger brush with a yellow, a bright yellow, and I'm going to add these little, what do you call them, suckers on the bottom of the tentacles.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to put them where the yellow shows from my split cake, because I want it to look as if they're on the bottom.
Okay.
So I'm just going over the yellow really lightly, and they get smaller as they go this way. Add some real big old eyes here. There we go. Now I'm going to outline with black. And for this, because there's so much going on, you want your outline to be pretty skinny, because you don't want to lose, you know, the details with a really heavy outline. And I'm just going to go around the little tentacles here. And you see how this one is in front of the other one, so I'm just going to come in front and go down. Like that. And that also helps make your design look a little bit more 3D. See, this one is in front of both of them. So I'm going to bring a line down right here.
Cool.
And this one here, I fixed a little bit the fact that they're so thick over here by overlapping this one, so that at least it looks like they're tiny bit skinnier now.
Marta says, love all your designs. Thank you so much for taking the time to educate and share with us today.
Thank you. That's so sweet. Yeah, I know it's really hard to get inspiration sometimes without feeling like you're copying somebody else's work. So there's a tip that I learned from Marcella Murad from Silly Farm. She says to look at clip art, which is a really good way to get inspiration without taking from somebody else's design. Because if you look at clip art, it's already what you're looking for in cartoon form. And it's a really good way to get inspiration.
That makes an incredible amount of sense. Seeing a lot of artists just go through and start flipping through pictures on, you know, they'll just Google a word like tiger or something and then start looking through tiger pictures. That's a little harder because those images are, well, complicated.
Yeah, it's a little harder to paint the real life version of something than it is to paint the cartoon version of it.
Yeah.
Okay. So that took a little bit of time going
So
around.
Sophia likes to look at tattoos. That's a good idea.
That's a good one too. Definitely get a tattoo book with the really graphic kind of tattoos with like that have like the bold lines. Those you'll find some really nice inspiration from also. So here. And I like to put eyebrows on my octopi.
Octopus, because it's not plural, right?
Well, I meant it as plural. I like to
Okay.
put eyebrows
Octopi it is.
Octopi. And you can leave him with a tiny little mouth there. Super little cute guy. And I don't think I'm going to outline the eyeballs because I feel like it's going to be too heavy. But I am going to give him a few highlights. You can and octopi come in so many shapes and forms and they can camouflage so well. So your octopus doesn't have to look like this. It can be, some of them have a lot more texture. They're like bumpy, like a seahorse or like a rock. I've seen some that can mimic lionfish with all the spines and everything. So if you want to look at a different type of octopus, you can totally do that. Okay, there we go. There's our little octopus. And anything that you have in this area right here, when somebody scrunches their face, like if you go like this, they'll move. So anything you want to put over here, and you ask them to go like this and scrunch up their face, the little tentacles are going to dance, which is another really cool.
Joan thinks that's cute.
Thank you. This is a super cute little octopus.
So what do you guys want to do next time? Any suggestions?
Yeah, I'd love to hear you guys' suggestions for next time. My hands are dirty. I was thinking maybe we could do Halloween.
Could do Halloween. All things Halloween, Sophie says.
Yeah. But then when we get into October, what are we going to do?
She suggests animal masks.
I was thinking that too, like farm animals or like zoo animals.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I've seen some really nice like zebra, cow, dog, wolf. We can do those too.
Great.
I like that idea, Sophia.
Okay, perfect. Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate you watching, and go to my favorite website, FacePaint.com, or and buy the new FacePaint, KrazeFX.com. Thank you, Kathy. This was great. It will be posted on Facebook Live, so you guys can see that there if you want to see it again. And we'll be back in 2 weeks. So
sounds good. Hope to see you guys there. Thanks for joining us today.
Okay. And sorry about the technical difficulties at the beginning. Okay. Have a good day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good night.